you're on 10 meter, which is the highest platform in college, you are going about 30 miles per hour. But even on like 1 meter or 3 meter, you get bruises, or some people get concussions, or like they bruise their lungs. I would say it's basically a contact sport.
Welcome to the Winners Club podcast. I'm your host, Bryce Wilson. Today I'm here with D1 diver Saylor Hawkins. Saylor, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So we're going to get into your mindset as a D1 swimmer and also what it's like being a D1 swimmer. But before we do that, I'd like to talk about your journey to become one. So can you give us a quick backstory of who you were as an athlete growing up?
I played sports all my life. I did gymnastics probably for the longest. Around middle school, my gymnastics club closed, and my aunt suggested to my parents that I should try diving because our school needed divers. So they put me in it. I tried it out, and I enjoyed it. Then I did it 7th grade all the way until now.
Did you excel right off the bat, or was there something, a love where you were always diving and you got better that way?
I think being a gymnast going into it, I started off a little bit stronger and I was less afraid, so I just went for a lot of dives right away. The more I did diving, the more I got scared of it.
Because it gets higher and higher.
Yes, and you have to do more and more flips. But I enjoyed it from the beginning. It was super fun. I enjoyed the people that were there and the coaches.
Getting to high school, you were a 2-time Minnesota State champion. So can you tell us a bit about that and how you were able to achieve that? You know, was it time, or was it the work outside of that? Like how were you able to achieve that?
I would say a lot of work. I didn't really ever skip practice. I went to practice all the time. I was always doing the workouts plus more. So let's say there was you have to do 3 of them. If I didn't like how they went, I would keep doing more until I got it how I wanted it to be. I would also go to club practices outside of it. So it was a lot of practice, a lot of hard work, but it paid off.
It paid off. And then it said you were a 19-time letter winner, which I don't even know really what that means, but were you doing lots of different sports in high school?
Yeah, so I did gymnastics, diving, and track all 4 years, and then I did basketball just for 1 year as well. So basically you just letter if you're a varsity athlete.
Yeah. Was it a smaller school? That's why you were able to try it?
Yeah, so our school was preschool through 12th grade, and there was maybe a little over 1,200 people.
Okay,
So
the whole full school? Wow,
yeah.
Okay. So you were able to try everything. Did playing all those different sports help diving?
Gymnastics for sure helped. The biggest thing was you want to land on your head in diving and on your feet in gymnastics. But I would say it just helped me not burn out as quick, because I feel like if you're all in on one sport for too long, it just gets very repetitive and you get kind of burnt out.
Going to UNT, kind of what made you choose UNT, going all the way from Minnesota, from the cold, coming to the heat over here? So what made you choose UNT?
I had a few different other schools that I was looking at, but when I came here, I really liked the coach and I just liked the team atmosphere. I also did want to get out of Minnesota just to experience something new, so I think it all just clicked. We have a new coach now, but I really like her.
Oh, that's good. How long were you with that coach?
2 years.
2 years? Okay, so you're able to have a good enough time with him.
Yeah.
You still like your coach now. How was the transition in diving to D1 level, from high school to D1? How was that transition?
It wasn't too bad. The only thing that really was a big difference was the scoring. They score a lot harder here, which makes sense. You're in college. After the first meet, I was I'm doing worse than I was in high school. But I talked to my coach. He's like, "Well, you're in college now. They're gonna score harder." Other than that, it wasn't too much of a difference. I thought we would have practiced a little bit more or longer.
So you're a hard worker. You want to practice more. I never heard that. Where you want to practice more? Do you do things on your own? Outside team trainings, how much do y'all train in general, and then do you stuff on your own?
Well, so we only are allowed 20 hours, which is, I'm assuming, why we don't practice more. But we have weights on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6:30 to 7:30, and then our practices vary different days, but from anywhere from 2 to 2.5 hours Monday through Saturday.
Do you do extra dives on your own?
Well, with diving, it's hard to do things on your own because you have to have a coach there and you have to get into the pool, which normally the pool is locked. So there's not much you can do besides dry land, which is abs or workouts.
Okay, it's not the same, so I can see why you want to dive more. But in your performance, every year you slowly got better and better. So what do you think kind of led to you improving? Was it just getting more comfortable? Was it a certain thing you did to gain your confidence?
Freshman year, I was more feeling stuff out. I was learning a lot more new dives. Sophomore, I was a lot more comfortable. I understood my coach and how things were working. My body knew what to do. And then last year with our coaching switch, that helped me a lot too, because she was a lot more particular about how we did things. She was a lot more like nitpicky, so I had to focus on smaller things. I'm more of the person who likes to like just go and do like the bigger things. Once I do get down to like really precise things, like I get stuck there. So I don't know, even in gymnastics, like I would like to do the biggest scales before I got really good at the little ones. And so she made us like come back and learn that, which I think helped. You
broke the platform record. What do you think led to breaking that record? Were you doing the same thing as always and it just happened, or what do you think kind of led to that?
Last year, that was at conference. So that's technically where you're supposed to peak. So I think mentally I was just ready for it. I was close all season. The other part was we got to practice tower a lot more last year. So in the past 2 years, since we don't have a tower here, we would just go to a meet and compete.
I did want to ask about that with diving, where it's not like other sports, subjective sport where if you perform, it depends on the judge. So have you ever had a judge score you where you didn't think it was right, and then how do you do with that?
At meets, I try not to, like I can look at the scores or whatever, but I try not to get too deep on it, because it's nothing I can do. It's whatever the judge sees and whatever they think. So the best way to get around that for me is like it's just one dive at a time, and after you do the first one, you just move on to the next. And after the meet, you can go back, look at your video, and then you can look at the score, but there's really nothing you can do.
Okay, that was kind of a mindset question, but now we'll get into your mindset. Is there anything you do to take care of your mental health, to deal with the highs and lows of your sport?
Yeah, so like last year, almost once a week, I would meet with our sports psych, just about random things. In the spring, I really worked on trying to visualize with her, because that's something that I wanted to get better at. Sometimes I'll journal if there's too much going on in my head, which just helps me get everything out. At diving, like if I'm struggling, which is like if you get stuck on a dive or like your body won't go for it, you kind of like spiral down. So I try to do like a fun dive just to get out of it, then reset and get back to it.
Can you speak about how your sports psychologist has helped with you? So you went there once a week. Like what? You don't have to get specific or anything, but just like how did it help you? Was it just letting out all things that are in your head, or did they give you some certain techniques that really helped?
I would say it's both. So like on Fridays, like I said, they come and talk to us and they give us different techniques. So some are like pre-meet stuff, post-meet, like how to relax, breathing. The other thing is like just being able to talk to somebody and just like let it go, so you're not constantly thinking about it.
What were like the pre-meet and post-meet stuff that really helped you that might help other athletes?
Kind of trying to get into a routine. It doesn't always have to be the same. It helps if it's close to the same, but like it shouldn't be like if you miss something, like your meet's gonna go terrible. Right. So I thought I did pretty good at that last year. I had a routine on how my warm-up was going to be, and I think that's why I did so well. This year I haven't been super consistent on that. I've been talking to my sports psychologist about getting back to it just so I can have more of a routine.
You were saying you're doing different types of dives that are some more scary than others. How do you overcome that fear to do a new dive?
So for everyone it's different. For me, I like to think about it.
So like, I don't know if that's good or bad, but we'll see what you say.
So like if they want me to do something, I would like to have like a day or a few days to prep for it. Like maybe they'll tell me on Monday, okay, like let's work up to this, like back 2.5 pipe. So like I do my leads, and then like the next few days I'm just like trying to hype myself up to do it. And then when it comes time, there's times where I'll do it right away, and there's times where like I'll rock for a while or jump off and have to reset. The hardest part is just to get yourself to go, and like once you get in the air, like that's most of the time the easy part, because your coach will call you out. Sometimes you smack, but
Can you get seriously injured just from jumping in the water the wrong way?
Yeah, so like if you're on 10 meter, which is the highest platform in college, you are going about 30 miles per hour. So when you hit the water, it's pretty hard. But even on like 1 meter or 3 meter, there's people like when you smack, like you get bruises, or some people get concussions, or like they bruise their lungs and stuff. You can hit the board, which some people do too, but I would say it's basically a contact sport.
Okay, no, really, yeah. The closest on overcoming fear, the closest I came to that is like cliff jumping. Have you ever been cliff jumping? Because I did it one time. I'm not a fan of heights like that, and I don't jump off cliffs like that. That's not something I do. But I tried it once, and I think I learned that to really just overcome that fear, you just have to go and do it. Because I was trying to look over the edge. I didn't. That's sucked me out. So just going, running, not even looking, just running and jumping and doing. That's the best way. Is that kind of the same way with figuring out the better dives or a different dive to do?
Yeah, so like normally if I'm doing a new dive, it's like completely new, I will like get up on the board and go right away. Because if I start to think, then it's just you keep on thinking.
That's why I was surprised when you said you like to think about it, because I don't know if that's a good or bad thing.
It's both. I would say sometimes it's not helpful at all because you just overthink it and try to think of every little thing. Even like when you do dives you know how to do, you do it the best when you're not thinking, because your body just knows what to do.
And I guess it's like visualizing too. Like, is it when you're thinking, you more visualizing how you're going to do it, or is that something you're trying to work on too?
Ever since like gymnastics when we were little, we had to visualize, and I hated it because I would always visualize like the wrong thing or me doing it wrong. And so I've been trying to work on it. That's why I was working on it last year. It's like 50-50 now. Like sometimes it will go really well, and sometimes my dive goes terribly wrong. So like I'm still a little bit nervous or hesitant on visualizing all the time. So now instead of trying to visualize at practice, like if it goes wrong, then sometimes it psychs me out. So now I just try to visualize at home and like just try to get it more consistent.
Michael Phelps said something about visualizing where he said he visualized doing perfectly, he visualizes maybe things go wrong and how you fix that. And so I think you can visualize bad things as long as it ends up in a good way in the end, but just visualizing the whole process of it. And then when you're up on the diving board, how do you focus and like block out all the noise of the crowd or just all your thoughts that's going on? How do you focus?
What I like to do is I like to model my dives on the ground before I go up onto the board, so that when I go up there, like I already know what to do. I don't have to think about too much, so I can just take a deep breath and go. So I would just say the biggest thing is like just breathing and make sure I'm relaxed.
What's your breathing process? Do you have a specific way you breathe, or you just breathe deep in and out? How is it?
I just take a deep breath and then walk down the board.
And then go?
Yeah.
You said there's some dives that are more difficult, and then I imagine you've had some ups and downs in your career. So what do you think kind of was your lowest moment, and how did you get through it?
So last year at the end of the year I got injured, so I couldn't go compete at zones. They thought they knew it was, and then they didn't, and so there was like a whole bunch of different things. So that was a little bit hard. And then coming back this year, after it, I would say that's probably the hardest. Like I'm struggling the most mentally because when I first came back, I was a little bit nervous because I injured my knee, so I didn't know how, if like my body was going to be able to handle it or what. Like I'm over that part now. So like I'm able to trust my body. Now I just have to get back to the same mindset I had last year.
What's the difference between last year and this year that you said you're trying to get back to?
I think last year I came in really confident and excited about diving, and this year I came in like a little bit nervous and hesitant. Last year I went into my optionals, which are my hard dives, like right away, and this year I kind of built more up to it. And because I don't jump as high right now, it kind of psyched me out a little bit. So I'm just trying to like tell myself that even if I'm not jumping as high, or if this goes wrong or this goes wrong, like my body knows how to do it. So I'm just trying to get through that part.
And you said that just doing dives for fun sometimes really helps. So can you speak on that? Like how often do you just do fun dives, and how's that help you bring the joy back into your sport?
If I'm having a really hard, tough practice, like my dives aren't going how I want them to, or if I balk a bunch of times, which means you just jump off the board without doing your dive, I like to just go down to 1 meter and do like a fun dive. Sometimes we do this game called jump dive or twist. So like right as you're jumping off the board, someone will say what you have to do.
Okay.
So you have to try to do it in time before you hit the water, and that's always fun to watch.
Yeah, to watch less fun to do it, or
Yeah.
did you really lean on your like friends and family during tough times, and how did your friends and family kind of help you get through that too?
I would say I relied on my family a lot. I talked to my parents, mostly my dad. I talked to the sports psychologist, and then my friends helped also. So like everyone, I had a pretty big
That's good
circle.
But it was important just to talk to someone, just let it off your chest. Is that kind of the biggest part?
So my dad was my coach in high school for gymnastics and track, and he was an athlete his whole life, so he kind of understands it, and we just spent so much time together while I was growing up, so he just knows me probably better than I know myself. So like he just knows like what to say or like how to say it to help me get out of my head or like gain my confidence back.
How do you deal with failure now? Like, is that again like something you're still struggling with, or is there a way that you kind of think about failure, where if you have a bad dive or if you don't perform as well as you want to, how do you kind of snap back?
So in meets, I've never really had like if I mess up a dive, it doesn't ruin the rest of my meet. Like I know how to like push it to the side or move on to the next swing. I would say in practice it's a little harder because if I'm doing like back 2.5 and they're all going to my back, that gets frustrating sometimes. One of my teammates, Olivia, she would always say like, you're brave, you're confident, and you're strong or something like that. So like sometimes if we're struggling, we'll say that to each other. But I would say like failure is always a good thing because it teaches you how to do it, how to fix it. So like if you mess something up in the air, your body knows how to correct it.
And that's another thing on confidence. Well, you said affirmations is one thing to build your confidence, just to say things over and over about just reinforcing your belief in yourself, but also just like self-talk, which is just what you say in your head. How do you think your self-talk is after a bad dive and practice? What are you telling yourself during that time?
Most of the time it's positive things. I would say like the most negative I've been is probably this year.
Okay.
So I'm working on that. But most of the time I would say like it's positive. Like I try to look at something good that happened in my dive or like what I'm trying to focus on. Because like sometimes you're trying to focus on like your reach, like getting super tall, and you miss your bottom because you're focusing on something. So like it's like you did what you wanted to do. So now try to put the whole thing together.
I would encourage you to monitor your self-talk, because that's a big part of the confidence. Is there? You said you journal and everything. Does maybe journaling about how you were thinking that day help, and how do you make sure that you're staying positive in your self-talk?
Sometimes if I catch myself like not being being negative, I try to rephrase it, and that's something that we work on when the sports site comes to us as a team. Like maybe if you're saying like, oh, I'm doing so bad, or oh, I'm doing this wrong, like flipping it and saying like, I just have to stand up taller, or I have to do this, so that you rephrase it into a positive way, so it creates a path in your brain, so you know how to do it.
Good. What do you do outside of diving just to relax?
I watch a lot of Netflix. I also listen to a lot of audiobooks. So like if I'm listening to an audiobook, I'll just do stuff around the house. Like I like to do like draw and paint and stuff, so I'll do that. Or like just going out with friends.
Speak about the importance of just having that balance. Is that do you notice days when maybe weeks when you're trying to train too much or weightlifting too much and you're not really getting time to yourself? Do you feel that?
Yeah. So like sometimes I'll like go and do too much at once, and like then I get really exhausted. Instead of like I also have a problem saying no to people. So if someone asks me like, oh, let's go do this, I'll say yes and go do it, and it's like fun. But then like I'm exhausted, so like. I do need time to like debrief and take to myself, and I notice that when I do have that time, like I'm a lot more productive.
As far as building technique and improving, you've been improving each year. What do you think has kind of led to that? Just gaining confidence, or is it certain things that you do, whether watching film or talking with the coaches a lot? What are the kind of things that help you improve?
I'm a visual learner, so we have a TiVo which replays our dives. So after every dive, you get to see how it went. And a lot of the times our coach will be like, oh, okay, how did that feel? Or like, what do you think went well, or whatever. So like being able to know how it felt and like actually say it and be able to watch it helps a lot.
Now we'll get into our final 5 questions. These are the final 5 questions I'd like to ask every athlete. So The first question is, what's a misconception about being a D1 athlete?
I think a lot of, just like for athletes in general, a lot of people, if they don't play sports or they used to or something like that, like they think that, oh, if like you're a jock, you don't go to school, you don't do this, you don't do that. But I would just say like try to give them a chance, because like most athletes like do have a personality. They do like to do certain things. And they do go to class and do their homework. Not all of them.
Maybe you do, right?
Yeah.
The second question is, what's your worst conditioning workout you ever done? So I don't know what type of workouts divers do, but is there one from high school or college that sticks out as your worst one?
With our old coach, we used to have to do AMRAPs, which is as many as possible. So he would put like 5 exercises on the board, and we would do like 5 sets, and each time you would count how many reps you did, and that was like just the worst thing ever. So
you'd have to do your max each five times in a row?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what's your best memory in the sport?
Interacting with like my teammates. Like last year, we're all super close. Like, so on the diving side, this year there's 7 of us. Last year there was 6 of us. So we all get along really well. And I think since we've been together for so many years, we understand each other and get each other. So like last year at almost every meet we would do dances. So like we had a countdown. So like we had a dance for 6 dives left, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So it's like super relaxed and fun and goofy. So I would say like just being able to be on the deck with them and dancing.
What kind of helps y'all stay close knit as a team?
3 of us lived together for 2 years.
Okay, that'll do it.
Yeah, so like we were always doing things together. But I would say like we're able to do things outside of the pool. Like, yeah, we take our time apart from each other so we don't get sick of each other. But like we would go, like we're gonna go ice skating next week, or like we'll go and paint or go bowling and stuff like that. So we take time outside of diving to hang out and get to know each other.
And the next question is, what advice would you give to high schoolers coming up and wanting to be a college athlete?
I would say that if you are looking at different schools, to help narrow it down, like just make a list of things that you want, and so when you're talking to the coach, like you can check things off and just make sure that you do get along with the coach.
And the last question is, if you were to define the word winner, how would you define it?
Setting goals for yourself and just being able to do that, even if it's like a small thing, like one good dive. Like if you just take a small step forward, it doesn't have to always be doing something amazing or great or like winning like a big championship. If you're not feeling like going to practice but you go and give it your all, like I would say you're winning the day.